Hello. Well, we've really got to talk about Sam Harris. At least I have to, because there's something seriously wrong there. Seriously wrong. Uh, let's see. Where do I start? Well, I was looking at a lot of tweets during and just after Election Day, and it seemed like every 10 minutes there was some new tweet from Sam Harris. Well, I'm probably exaggerating. It might not have been every 10 minutes, but it was a lot. There was a torrent of tweets from him, all exulting in the success of Biden, but more than in the success of Biden, in the demise of Trump. Now, that's never good. You might want your own side to win, but he didn't seem that bothered about his side. It was more about Trump's failure that exercised his mind and his imaginations. It was so constant and vicious. It was obvious that his attitude was, well, actually, I'm a bit nervous about saying this. I've got to be careful what I say on YouTube, but okay, let's face it. I'll put some clips here. What do you do to a pollutant? What do you do to a defilement? What do you do about something with which you should feel such towering outrage, something for which you should have no other reasonable opinion than absolute contempt? What do you do to something like that? Here, contempt for Trump is a patriotic necessity. And then Trump has defiled the entire planet. How do you invest somebody with that sort of power and evil? All your outrage should be aimed at Trump and his enablers. So he's saying the people who supported him, the voters, don't bother about them. Just go for Trump. Like he's the only person in control of what happened. I actually used to think that Sam Harris was a mature, intelligent thinker, even if he did disagree with Trump's politics. But the hysterical way he's acting, it's like he's leaping around some sort of a sacrificial fire. The 1930s films, and anyone who's seen any of these old Tarzan films or the African explorer films or the treasure hunter films that were made very commonly in those days, there was always at least one very highly choreographed scene, wasn't there, where there was a bunch of semi-naked savages dancing around a fire and making grunting noises. I'm using the word savages in quotes because that's how they would have been termed in those days. Well, that's what Sam Harris reminds me of. It's absolutely astonishing. Mind you, last week was a real week for being flabbergasted, I have to admit. And I thought, why has he picked on this with such intensity? It's like a puppy with a slipper. He just keeps shaking it. He can't let go. And there's such a fury in it. Actually, then something occurred to me. Well, Harris hasn't exactly been the plat du jour over the past 6 years, has he? Ever since that famous spat with Ben Affleck about Islam, you will recall Harris called Islam the mother lode of bad ideas on a TV show called Real Time with Bill Maher, wasn't it? And after that, oh boy, no invitations to dinner from the wokerati for you, Harris, my boy. He got thrown off university campuses and philosophy conferences, and there were demonstrations whenever he made appearance. He was definitely not the acceptable face of intellectualism anymore. Until this. Well, all this tweeting about how much he hates Trump and how terrible Trump is and how much of a pollutant he is to the planet, and how glad he is that Trump's going and how he celebrates it and how happy he is and how he wants Trump erased from history. Well, that's going to get him back in with the woke lot, isn't it? He's been out in the cold for a long time, and like many a university man before him, he wants to be back under the protective, overgrowing ivy of the university system, bathing in the warm glow of universal academic respect and the banked rows of shining, admiring faces at his lectures as grateful students all turn like little mirrors towards him, reflecting his opinions, thoughts, and teachings without question. Now, whether this was a gradual process of scarcely noticed moral atrophy, or it could have been a conscious political decision, but his instinct to get back into the herd, whatever caused it, has overpowered him. So I thought I'd read you the final words from a novel with which you all might be acquainted. It's called 1984, and it was written by George Orwell, and it records the moment, that last paragraph records the moment when Winston Smith, our hero, suddenly realises that there is no point in fighting the system. Even more than that, he realises that the system is actually benign. It's benign because it relieves people of the onerous responsibility of thinking, of criticising, of struggling, of worrying. You just relax into what the party tells you to do, and you know, that's it. You're free from all your worries and problems thereafter. So this is what Orwell wrote. Oh, cruel, needless misunderstanding. Oh, stubborn, self-willed exile from the loving breast. 2 gin-scented tears trickled down the sides of his nose. But it was all right. Everything was all right. The struggle was finished. He had won the victory over himself. He loved Big Brother. Congratulations, Sam. You're home. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.